And we are here at Michigan Sports Media Network. Welcome back to episode 3. As usual, we have Brad Thompson, our lead Tigers reporter, and James Gullett, our lead Red Wings reporter. Today, we're going to start off a little different. We normally start with baseball, but it's the NHL trade deadline, so I figured let's start with that. So with that being said, floor is yours, James.
Hey, Hockey Town. I know everyone around the town is going to be buzzing after that electric trade that Steve Yzerman pulled off at the last second. Um, it's going to put a lot of butts in seats. It's going to sell a lot of tickets. I cannot wait to see the Craig Smith jerseys in the crowd. Um, just wow, wow. He kind of made me put my foot in my mouth a little bit from some earlier comments with that one. But yeah, like all sarcasm aside, we did absolutely nothing. We did not address needs. We did not, we got significantly more expensive. We got significantly older. We traded a 25-year-old center who, don't get me wrong, needed to find a different spot to play hockey, but we replaced him with a 35-year-old. We got a goalie that we shipped off 8 years ago. Like, he's back. Um, he wasn't that good 8 years ago. His numbers aren't too good now, but here he is. So, um, overall on the season, I will say for the totality of the season, I should say, Smith does have a better game statistically than Delano. I'm not going to lie and say I've watched a lot of Chicago Blackhawks hockey. I have not. But just going stat by stat comparison, Smith has an additional 4 goals and I know it's at least 2 or 3 assists. He's got 6 total more points than Veleno in 16 games less played. So he at least is an upgrade over Veleno. But like I said, we traded a 25-year-old for a 35-year-old. He is cheap on a 1 year deal, and he's a unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, so potentially no harm, no foul when it comes to the end. So slight upgrade offensively. We needed a fourth line center, which, like I said, Valeno wasn't getting the job done. He's been here for long enough. He is what he is. I don't see him getting better. I don't see a way we regret this trade in terms of losing Valeno. But Peter Mrazek, the goalie we reacquired, um, he has 33 starts on the season. He's 10 and 19 on his record, so he's lost 20, or I'm sorry, 66% of his starts. However, one thing I did find that was unique is his save percentage is actually slightly above Cam Talbot. And I've actually been decently impressed with Talbot considering the defense that is in front of him, because I've brought it up several times. It's not very good. But his goals against average and his save percentage are all minuscule better than Cam Talbot. So statistically, if the games were played on paper, we did get better today at goalie and at fourth line center. So there's at least that. But obviously, I don't think this moves the needle for a single person. This is not going to put the butts in the seats. This is not going to make us think, hey, there it is. We got our wild card spot. These guys are going to lift us up. At least for what the standard of their play so far has been this year. Now, maybe Coach McClellan can get something out of them. He got a pretty good jump start on the guys that were here initially. So maybe a different coach can get a little more out of them, but that's wishful thinking, to be honest. So we'll see how that goes. Um, the only other thing I really wanted to say is no longer about the deadline, because that was the only move we made besides getting rid of Uso, which we talked about on prior podcasts. But the Wings lost against Utah the other night. We are now 0-4 our last 4 games. Carter Mazer played 2 shifts. He unfortunately dislocated his elbow, and they put him on injury reserve today. So a lot of hype and a lot of um, shine and things that people were looking forward to. At least I was really looking forward to seeing him play, not only for his debut, of course, but the rest of the season, see if he can build something. And that all got gashed literally within the first 2 minutes of the game. Kind of actually reminds me of Robinson breaking his arm in the playoff game against the Commanders. It's just so early in the game to lose somebody. And tonight, actually in 45 minutes, we bring in the red hot Washington Capitals. They are 40-14 on the year, and it's going to be one I don't expect to win. I mean, obviously, any given game you could pull out something, but Ovechkin's been on fire. I mean, there's a chance he breaks the record tonight, even with how we've been playing. So we'll see what happens. But in terms of the trade deadline and overall position of the Red Wings since Wednesday, nothing really changed, and I don't have too much hope for the immediate future, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's really good information, and I totally agree with you. Now, I know I might be playing devil's advocate here, but some of the things that Yzerman said in the Twitter video that he put out afterwards kind of made some sense. He's like, we're not ready to win a chip right now. Why would we, trade away all of our young guys and then still be a middling team? But with that being said, why would we still be a middling team if we made a big trade? You know what I mean? Like if we had the things in place by this point, we wouldn't be a middling team anymore. So like I kind of understand where he's coming from, but I also understand where the fans are coming from when they say, it's been 6 years now, and nothing's really come of it. And at least he can say he drafts well. But with that trade that came about, where they moved a second rounder to move off that player, and then the team went and traded that same player for a first, just is not a good look. I mean, especially when, people are already kind of calling for your head and saying you're not a very good, pro scouter, or your pro scouting office is not very good. When the same team you just had to give up a pick for or two trades the same guy and gets more than what they got from you for him that's just kind of rough. But with that being said, I personally am not in the camp of necessarily fire him. I think we give him another year, like you mentioned, with the new head coach, and I think finding that head coach was a good move by him, but we'll kind of have to see what the offseason brings. But with that being said, I will pass over to Brad, and you have the floor.
Well, well, what you said there, Jace, kind of because I didn't see it. It's a head scratcher, and it almost probably inflames some people. So he's saying, if I get this correct, that they're still a middle of the road team. Okay, fair enough, they are. And he's been here 6 years. So we have went from the doldrums to 6 years later. Yeah, we're mediocre. Okay, no, okay, I get it. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Uh, kudos to Steve. Yeah, guys. With the Yzerplan, this we hear he's drafting well, and perhaps he drafts well. But if he drafted well, they'd be up now the last 3 years. And who do we really have up here? I mean, Raymond was a no-brainer. Sider, you know. Well, I take that back. Raymond wasn't a no-brainer. All right, and he did do well with Sider and Raymond. I'll give him credit for that. I take that back because we got screwed in the lottery. So he was able to identify those, but that's in the first round. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It just nothing really to me stands out. I don't see it. Dylan Larkin is a second line center on a good hockey team. All right, he's the second line center. That's fine. We saw in the world in the World Ice championships they had. He was a fourth line. What does that say? All right, you've got Canada, you've got United States, and he's fourth line. So basically, that tells me second line center. All right, okay, cool. But I keep coming to this, and I'm a little older than you guys, so you may not really know what it means. But with this Yzerplan, I think we're all sitting here as Red Wing fans, like Judge Smail on the last hole at Bushwood. All right. Well, we're waiting, and I think we're just going to keep waiting, guys. I do. Dallas goes out and they go out, they get Renton. That's great. and say, oh, they're over the top and everything. Well, you get Retton. Okay, you have to give up somebody. You don't give up a Sider. You don't give up a Raymond. If you give up a Larkin, you do. Retton is a top 10 player in the NHL. Dylan Larkin is not. Retton would have been a building block. Yes, you would have had to assign him, and Dallas signed him to what's going to be a $12 million a year contract. I think you do that. I think it shows that you're serious. Guess I'm wrong, but Dallas definitely did it. I'm going to say this: tonight is the biggest hockey game for the Red Wings in 6 years, and this is why I mean this. Okay. You got Washington. They're supposed to come in. They're supposed to thump us pretty darn good. Ovechkin with the record. I get it, all that. They take the ice tonight. They lose by 4 or 5 goals. It's it. Their dick is knocked in the dirt, and I don't see them getting up from the mat on this. Now, they go out, as McClellan says, play fucking hockey. All right. They beat the Capitals. This could launch them, all right, onto a playoff run. So that's my reasoning. Could be a bit eye-opening that this is the biggest game in Red Wings, in 6 years. Fellas, other than the last game of last year, I really think it is. This is going to be a downward spiral. This is going to be an upward tick. So I think we should stay glued to the television tonight. But other than that, I don't have much else to add.
All right, thanks, Brad. James, you got anything for that?
I wasn't gonna bring up the Jake Wallman trade stuff because I feel like I'm saying enough bad things about Yzerman. But yeah, when you trade Wallman and a second round pick just to get rid of Wallman's contract, and then within a calendar 12 months, he gets traded for a first round pick. It like we could have had an additional first and second round pick if we were rebuilding and doing all this stuff, but whatever. And then one thing I just pulled up here on X because I did not see that interview with Steve Yzerman, but this comes from Brad Gelly on X, and this is a quote from Steve Yzerman. I understand the frustration or impatience. What impatience when it's been 6 years with not even a playoff appearance? When I grew up watching the Wings, it was a joke of a season if we made the playoffs and then got eliminated in the first round. Like people would literally laugh at them and be like, "Wow, what a waste of a year." Now we can't even get there. Like screw winning a cup. Can we at least play in the damn tournament? Like he goes on to say, and I'll try to keep this brief. This is again a quote from Steve Yzerman. We did what we thought we could do to give ourselves a better shot at the playoffs. Is this earth-shattering? No. But the only way to do something earth-shattering was to give up picks and prospects. End quote. So he even said, in order to do something earth-shattering, we would have to give up picks and prospects. Why don't we do that then? Why don't we go get a top 10 player in Redden that just got traded? Like, okay, how about we give away some of these prospects? I mean, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, they become fourth liners. Who knows? That's better than a top 10 player right now, right? It's just, and it feels weird saying bad things about Yzerman. I grew up idolizing the guy, but if his name was Steve Jones instead of Steve Yzerman, he would have been fired 3 years ago. Let's just call a spade a spade. His last name's Yzerman. He's the god of Hockey Town. So he gets an extended leash, and he's just doing nothing with it. Like, this is Hockey Town. We have expectations. This is not the 2000 Lions where a 5-win season's like, hey, we got a couple more than last year. Like, I think the city, I think the fans, I think the team needs to remember who the hell we are. Because we are not just a middle of the pack team. We are supposed to be, and I grew up watching, the best North American team in hockey. I would like to return to that, and I'm just not okay sitting back and accepting mediocrity. That's not what this franchise is about, but apparently it is now. And I'll end my rant on that.
Yeah, James, thanks for that, and I totally agree with that.